bringing you back real quick here. I didn't hit a lot of stuff. I am so out of time, and I have other videos on the 4.8 and another Gen 4 5.3 and stuff. So, you know, I have another 5.3. It was a Gen 3. But the last one of these I did was a Gen 4 5.3 out of an 07 Yukon. So yeah, the basic principle is exactly the same. So if you don't see what you need to on these videos here, go back to that Yukon. I wished I could figure out how to put it up on there, and I just, well, here it is. But I don't have a whole lot of videos out, and it'll start this, you know, kind of the sequence of doing it. The 4.8 was kind of the first one I did, and it is a little more in depth. And then the 5.3 I did next was the things that I didn't do on, that I may have missed on the 4.8. Then the Gen 4 5.3 was because it's 4, you know, Gen 4 instead of a 3. I was showing you the difference. It's just kind of like I'm talking about here on this one. What I am bringing you back for real quick is I'm going to plastic gauge. I'm going to put the crank in, and so I'm going to plastic gauge this real quick. But I want you to be aware, I'm just opening these up. I almost dropped one of them. Just be super, super careful with these. And I've talked about this in the previous, and I want to show you. I know it's dark, and I do apologize for that. But I want to show you this real quick, and I don't know if you're going to be able to pull that up. Absolutely not. Nope, it is too dark in here. So I'll just have to explain to you. There is a lower set and a upper set to the mains. These two are lower. This one is your thrust, goes in the center. Just fell over. And this is just one of the actual mains that go in the cap, you know, but understand, you got the engine upside down. I explained this on the Gen 4 and probably on the 3s when I did them too. The engine is upside down. It'd be very easy to say, well, this is lower because that's what's stamped on it. So because this is the low part, this is where I'm going to put it. Don't do that. The lower would be the cap. I wished it actually said cap instead of, you know, it'd be easier if it was stamped block and cap than it would be upper and lower. Or actually, I don't even think it says upper. It might. I have to look. But lower is the cap, because when the engine is up the right direction, it is now the low side. So just keep that in mind when you're putting them in. And these are lower, so I'm gonna put them in the cap real quick. But so, you know, please pay attention. Number 3 on your cap. Excuse me, on your main cap is what I'm getting at. That is your thrust. So don't, you know, just remember that. Make sure everything is 100% clean, no debris in bearing and or the cap or block. And I've already wiped this down. And real quick, for those of you who might have noticed when I was honing, I did it really fast and I didn't do a really good job. I did go back and clean the cylinders up. It didn't look very good. I'm not trying to bore. I'm not trying to do a super good crosshatch. I'm not saying that's not a good thing. All you want to do is break the glaze off. You want to break all the shiny off and make it all super gray. You don't want any up and down lines. And really what you're after is just enough to break in your rings. I'm not a machine shop, so I'm not going to do I'm not building this for boost. I'm not building this for a million miles. I'm trying to build this so that it will get by for the next 100,000, because I don't think the truck is going to last much longer than that, especially if he's if he's going to keep it as well maintained as he was before. So anyway, I'm just telling you this. Your number 3 is super easy to know. I didn't even have to look at the number on it. Number 3, because of it being thrust, is machined on both sides. I'm not even sure if you're looking. I don't even know what you're looking at. There we go. It's machined on both sides. That is your thrust, and the rest of them all look like this. There are no, like I said, I know it's dark, but as you can see there from the glare, there is no machine marks in comparison to that. So the thrust one is really easy to figure. I'm not even sure that you could make a thrust bearing fit in the other ones because of the machine work. So that tells you really quick. And this one, like I said, stamped lower. I wished I could show you, but it's just not in the cards today. So anyway, I just thought I'd bring you back really quick and show you all that. And I'll bring you back when I'm ready to set the crank in to to do the plastic gauge. I've done it on all my engines just because did not take it to a machine shop, and even when you do take it to a machine shop, it's probably a good idea to plastic gauge just to make sure there's not a problem. Machine shops can make mistakes like anybody else. So, okay, I'll bring you back when we're ready to set the crank. Okay, all the bearings are in the block and in all of the mains. So now I'm going to bring the crank over. I have wiped that crank down 500 times just to make sure there's no debris on it, because that is going to be your worst enemy. I am not putting lube on these to do your plastic gauge. Now there's good and bad about that. The good is you're going to get an accurate reading, because if you put grease in there or some type of a lube, it could throw off your, even on the bottom. I've seen people do it. I'm not saying, I'm not 100% against it, but I need to get this as accurate as possible. So you do not want to put lube on the bearings to do a plastic gauge, and there's problems with that. Number one is, do not rotate the crankshaft dry. So it's the same way when doing the rods. When you go to do the rods, you do not want to spin the crankshaft when you're tightening and untightening and loosening. The crank's pretty simple. Once you put this in, you know, you're going to put the crank in, then you're going to put the plastic gauge on each one of the throws, and then you're going to put the caps on, and then you're going to torque everything down. I doubt I'll do the side bolts, because there's no real reason to do that in this case. It's not being rotated, it's not being spun. It's all I'm doing is doing the 4 mains. You could probably get away with just 2. I'm not telling you to do it either way. I know you may see some scuffage in there. That's just the way the bearings were shipped. There's no damage to them or anything like that. Cleaning the crank is a pain. I don't want to put any pressure on a reluctor wheel, so it's kind of hard to, you basically have to stand it up to clean it. I finally put rags down, laid it on its side, and spun it over and over and cleaned all of the ports out where the oil goes, just to make sure that there's no, there's no, fuzz is your worst enemy, and unfortunately, well, any type of debris. But these blue rags, they're really not very good on something like that. They're fine for the polished parts, but when you're trying to rub around it, you're getting into the cast crank, and so it's taking fuzz off, and it's moving it all around, it's blowing it and stuff like that, and it's just making a mess. So be really, really careful in cleaning your crankshaft or any other part that's going to be put in there. The blue rags are not always the best. I'm going to be off camera for a minute. I got to go get the crank and bring it over here, and I'm going to try to set it in there and get the plastic gauge cut and put in. And this may be a 2-part on this. On the rods, I'm going to show you when I get to that video. I'm going to show you one of them, maybe the 2 that are matching side by side, and then I'm not going to do any more. I have videos of doing it. Trust me, I am going to do it, but I'm not going to do a lot of video on it. I am so far behind. I've got to get this done. So I have wiped this crank down I don't know how many times, so I am pretty positive it's as clean as it's going to get. And the bad thing is you have to take it back out again, so it makes this difficult, and you really got to watch your fingers, because you actually have to put in the block. Up, too far. Come on, don't be dragging on stuff. Try to put it in as evenly as possible. And not to get dirty, and for no reason, spin it. Where she's at is where she's at. I'm not going to mess with it. So until I pull it back out, I have to re-lube everything. Now, as I told you before, each one of these mains are marked. They actually have a 4 on this. I don't know if you can see that. Yep, right there. This finger's 4. And I've explained to you all of these nubs that stick backwards like that. You can kind of see that in some of the light. Those all face backwards except number 5, which face forward. So this is number 4, faces backwards. Like I said, I've cleaned this block several times. It may not look like it, but I honestly have. Go down as evenly as possible. And you really want to use a rubber mallet on that to, I'll do that here in a minute. This one is number 5. Like I said, it faces with them ears forward. Just Still see fuzz on these throws. That's the problem, like I said, with doing these. Cleanliness is a pain. Number one, yeah, I didn't have them in any certain order because, you know, I kind of know where they're numbered. I didn't have to number them. Your mains are already numbered, your rods are on. Number two, try not to rub on the sides if you still have carbon on it like I do. I clean the crank, but like I said, it is such a hassle to try to clean this thing 100% clean. And then the thrust. Number three. Ugh. Okay. All the bolts are clean. No, there you go. Alright. Like I said, I gotta get this done. This guy's not only wanting his truck back, I have another vacation scheduled. And I have to work tonight, which is my long weekend off, and it's aggravating. But at least he didn't take the entire weekend off. It's just, like I said, it's just a pain in the butt. Trying to find some tools here that I just threw down here nonchalantly. I don't think a 14 is going to cut it. I think the middle one's a 13. I'm not tightening these down. You know what I didn't do? Didn't put the plastic gauge on now, did I? I idiot it out. I got it. I'll take all this back apart. Basically, remembered before I got carried away. No, I didn't. I got carried away. Idiot. Yeah, not the first time. Don't drop your bolts on the throws for the rods. Idiot. I roll. So I have to basically put the tool in there. I want to make sure it's clean also. I'm not putting any extra debris anywhere. Be careful taking this off because these are the bearings you're going to be, you're going to be using these bearings. So don't get carried away. I think the thrust one's going to be the hardest one to get out without damaging anything. Looks good. Put the tools in the way here. Let me just set this down. Idiot. Because see, the thing is, you can't spin these. You know, like I said, you can't spin. Mike, be careful. All's well. You don't want to spin these, they crank, and so where these throws are at is where they're at. That's why I tried to put the, your thrust bearing. I want to put the throw on the crank down, or you know what I mean, to where I could get in here a little bit easier, because this one's going to be the hardest one to get out. Right now it's easy because I didn't get that one tight. You know, I haven't tightened anything down. When I was using that tool, I'm not recommending all that, but I'm just running them down. I'm not tightening by any means, because there's a 3-step process of torquing, and you want to make sure that you follow that. I am just running them down just to get it down quicker. I didn't have to beat anything down with a hammer. I'd rather not do that. I'm saying there's anything wrong with it, I just would rather not do it. So, I don't have to pull the crank, I just got to get these caps off. Because I'm not a genius. Okay, plastic gauge time. You don't need a whole lot. And these two are kind of going to be a pain because the oiling hole is facing the bottom. That's sometimes how it works. So you don't need a lot. I'm just going to cut it. You probably are off camera where you can't see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to cut, where you at? Because I got everything upside down here. I'm just going to cut about that much. Hopefully it's in there. I'm not going to be able to do this with my gloves on, so they're gone. Because you got to be able to pull this apart. And be careful when you do that, because that is a little tiny piece. Where are you at? See that little green line? That's all you get. So what you want to do is take that out, and you want to set it right across where the main goes. Okay, where I just put my fingerprint. So I'll show you real quick what I'm talking about. If we have enough light, see that little green line? That is it. You do that across all the mains, since that's what we're doing right now. Like I said, when we do the rod, I'll show you a couple of them, then we're going to move on. It doesn't have to be 100% all the way across, but you need enough to get a good accurate reading on it. That's just why I suggest going at least, keeping it in the center, and then keeping it, you know, X amount of, it's just about an inch long. And of course that depends on your engine you're doing too. Some are going to be bigger, some are going to be a little narrower. And if you're doing your, like when I do these rods, like right here, you've got number 5 and 6 here are together. So what I'll do is I'll just cut a longer piece and I'll just put it across both of them. That's not really going to hurt. If I run out and getting low on it, I'll cut them. I can cut them smaller. It's not a big deal. I suggest getting a couple of them just to make sure they're not all that expensive. I think I got these from AutoZone. I think they even have them in stock, if I recall. Okay. There's number 4. But I am going to do them just to make sure, because this is without taking them to the machine shop. You know, if you trust your machine shop and you know the guy who's doing it, you know, you may not have to do it, but man, I recommend it because you just don't know. Anybody can make a mistake. Anybody can make a mistake. Machine shops included. There's that post out there where I've seen it pop up my Facebook page a time or two, where somebody has got a picture of an engine block that started doing the machine work on it, and it's bad. They took off way too much. Whoops, that turned sideways. You don't want that. And it was obvious. And I think the caption was, when you're supposed to take 10 thousandths and you took, or 20 thousandths, you took 120 or whatever it is. I just lost it. That's the problem with the throw being up. It's very difficult to get to. It's sticking to my finger, which is not helping anything. because they're kind of a wax. Got it. So, and yeah, they've started boring the block, and they destroyed it. So they caught it too late. Engine block destroyed. And that's like I said, anybody can make a mistake. Ah, stuck to my finger again. I haven't taken the cam gear or the timing gear off the crank either. I gotta do that here in a little bit. All right, now we can put her back together. Not be an idiot. Or always be an idiot. I don't. I kind of roll like that. Make sure I didn't knock it off there. Number 3, thrust. Number 2. Make sure it's still down there, yeah. Didn't knock it off yet. Number 4. Okay, scissors, you gotta go. Plastic gauge, I'm just going to lay here because, like I said, I'm going to have to get to it to read get the little gauge. It's the nice thing about it, it comes with its own gauge. I imagine half of you are out there saying, "Hey, stupid, you forgot to put the plastic gauge in. What your goal was? You're not putting that together dry, are you?" Oh yeah. Round 2. Well, I hope this Saturday finds everybody fine. Said I have to work tonight, so that's really going to throw everything in a bind, because the problem with working 12-hour shift nights is you end up sleeping part of your day away. I can make myself wake up and come out and do stuff, which I will come out and do building, but the problem with doing that is I feel like crap, and if you get up too early you start making mistakes, and that's just not, it's not conducive to, you definitely don't want to smash her down. Whoop, hey. Quarter cable wants to work. $15. Anyway, so like I said, I don't mind going in, because everybody needs vacation. I'm not arguing that. I'm taking enough time off this year that everybody needs their vacation. Not arguing that, but boy, just to take a Saturday off. I have to work 2 weekends a month. So when you take, and you only get one long weekend a month. Okay, this is where we're at. So what I'm going to do now, go get my specs for torquing, and then go get my torque wrench, get it set up, and I'll bring you back here in just a minute, and we'll get this done here. Okay, I got everything together. So I actually Googled it because my Gen 4 book is buried, and I got my Gen 3 book out, and it's not far off. But I went ahead and Googled the Gen 3 aluminum block, or 4, excuse me, Gen 4 aluminum block, because I didn't know if there was a difference in torque specs going into aluminum over cast. But basically, first round, 15 pounds on all of them, inner and outer, and then your second pass, the inner ones are at 80 degrees, torque to yield, and your outers are 15. Excuse me, 51 degrees. So first thing first, we're just going to take these to 15. Believe me, that won't take much. Don't take much at all. You didn't even hear it probably. Click. It's best if you can help it not to use an extension on your breaker bar, because it takes torque away. There's the 15 on the inners. When I start the actual torquing process, I'll probably start in the center and work back and forth. I do have torque indicator, excuse me, angle indicator, but for this, just plastic gauging, I know I'm going to get really close to it, so I'm probably not going to use it this time. But when I actually do the main, when I do it right and it's done putting in for the last time, I'm definitely going to use my torque angle gauge. So, all right, inners are 80 degrees. So I'm going to start. Well, it's going to be difficult in this garage because I can't get a good swing on anything. But because you know what? Let me just go get it and put it on there. That way we're not, because I don't want to mess this up, over torque or under torque with that aluminum block. Cast block wouldn't bother me so bad, but the aluminum one, let's don't be ignorant. Yeah, let's don't do that. Like I said, it really, for what I'm doing, isn't going to possibly be that big of a deal. But I don't want to chance it. Everybody knows what 9 degrees is. That's the easiest one to get, and I'd really rather have that here so that doesn't move. Yep, I just passed it, not paying attention, looking at something else. Okay, let's see if we can get 80 out of this. There's 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. $10, $20, $30, $40, $50, $60, $80. Like I said, you could possibly just do the inner ones. It'd be good enough for your plastic gauge, but so. Careful with this one because you're almost was 0. just knock over. I think I was on 0, couldn't see it. That's 80. Like I said, I don't think we really need to do these, but I'll do it anyway. Just to prove to you I'm doing it. $51, a little harder to see. $10, $20, $30, $40, just over $50. Up. I actually did see that move prior to getting on it, which I was kind of surprised about. Sometimes that's how it happens. And I will put a little oil on them probably too before I torque them down permanent. I like when it works out like that. Yeah, see, that one didn't even catch for a little bit. Didn't do. I shouldn't be using my torque wrench for this. I just thought about that. I had it set at 15 pounds too. Oh well. Yeah, always try to use your brake over bar, which I had laying here and just stupid it out and forgot about it. Lay this here. Don't break it. Okay. Like I said, I'm not gonna put the sides on. There's no sense in that. So let's go ahead and break all these loose. These are going to be the tight ones. I should have started on the outside. Anyway. Yeah, I said on one video that I've replaced all the bolts. I'm not replacing the mains. To me, it's just not. I just don't see really the reason to, unless there's an obvious problem. Like I said, the things that always bothered me is the aluminum part, because I just didn't know how much to. The torque specs were different on the aluminum block over the cast. Just like I said, it's my first one. Don't know. Ain't that. Try this one. No, can't put that there. I need that space. I didn't really want to do that either. Well, that's one way to do it. You sit right there. I know this seems like a tedious process if I have to do everything 2 or 3 times, but it saved you a bunch in the end. If you get all the way done, then come to find out there was a mistake, and or there was more of a problem than you thought. Oh yeah. I'd like to tell you that I can just look at it and say, man, that's perfect. I don't know. I'll have to look. Oh, come on. How did that happen? No, 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 don't turn the crank. How did you get stuck in there? Thank you. Ah. Try it this way, guys. No, I'll show you, I promise. Not seen anything I don't like. Rods are the ones I'd be most concerned about. This thing was holding oil pressure, and I didn't take anything in the machine shop, and the bearings actually didn't look bad. So this, to a lot of people, is probably a waste of time, and I went many years of not doing this and always managed to luck out and not have anything, you know, that was bad. But I mean, every one of them. You're probably not gonna be out. There it is. You can kind of see it. See the green? Oh, come on. It's. I've got the thing up, the lens upside down, or my deal. You see what that looks like? So, I did not look up, however, what that's supposed to be. But if I recall, it isn't very much. I am at 2,000th, maybe a tad bit more, between 2 and 3, or yeah, well, 3 is actually. So, where are you at? There you are. I know the lighting sucks in here. Let me get my big finger out of the way here. And this isn't like right on there, so it makes it difficult to see. But that's about, see, the same distance. You look at that green, and that is 0.002 thousandths. Now, obviously, if it's narrower, then it would be bigger. Does that make sense? You have more of a gap. If it's flatter, then you have less of a. So the next step up is 0.0015, and it's obviously, it's a bit more than that. So I'm going to call that, in this particular case, the main is the only one, excuse me, the third one, which is the thrust, is the only one's a little bit bigger. Oh man, I'm telling you what. So I know it's going to be difficult to see. So I'm going to call that one 1.0015 thousandths. So it's actually tighter than the other ones, but all the rest of them appear to be exactly the same. If you want me to show you, I can, but I'm pretty happy with it. This one may be, you have to do the widest one. Yep, right there is exactly the same. I don't know if you're seeing that. 0, 0, 2. I know I get my big finger in my way on the numbers there, but so they are all exactly the same, 2,000ths. Let me go over and double check, but I am pretty sure that's a good number. And 2,000ths is pretty tight, and I'm happy with that. So I got to clean them back off. I'm going to put the mains, I'm going to pull the crank back out. I'm going to lube everything back up, and then put the caps back on, and then retorque everything. You really don't need to see that again. Like I said, I have other videos of this taking place, but I'm going to take just a little bit of cleaner, and because the problem with that wax is it doesn't come off, but the brake cleaner will do it. You just don't want it to run into the bearings too much. Just spray a little bit on your rag, whichever one you're using, just a little bit, and it'll just take it right off. WD-40 probably do it too. But anyway, take that, clean it all up, pull the crank back out. Don't forget lube it good. This is, like I said here, one of the other videos. This is a case where when you hear somebody say if a little bit good, a little bit's good, a whole lot more is better, that's usually meant to be sarcastic because somebody over chemicaled or overfilled or overdid this or overdid that or whatever. But in this particular case, when it comes to lubrication on a pre-start, a little bit more is not going to be your enemy. You want as much on there as you can possibly get away with, and so just keep that in mind. Well, I completely missed it somehow. Oh, I know that there's stuff on there. Oh, yeah, spray it everywhere. There we go. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Everything looks good. I'm going to pull the crank back out. We're going to start lubing stuff up. I'm going to put it back together. You all don't need to see that part. It's the same. I'll bring you back when I do one rod, or a set of rods, whichever one happens to be. I'll do 1 and 2, or it doesn't make any difference. There's no set parameters on which one to start. And if I don't like them numbers, I may do them all. I may show you if I'm going to do them all. What I meant to say was, if I see one that isn't right, I'll definitely bring you back because you need to see it. So that's the downfall of doing this, though. After the crank is already in, because there's a problem, the crank has to be turned. So you got to take everything back out. Anyway, so I'll bring you back when we get to that point.